YouTube? In today's video, we're going to be restoring a set of Mini Cooper headlights using the Eagle Abrasives Headlight Restoration Kit and a couple of other items that you can pick up right off of Amazon. Stay tuned. Okay, so before we start the restoration, let's talk about sandpaper and why I chose to use the Eagle Abrasives kit. In most cases, the lower the sandpaper grit, the more material is removed, but a rough finish is left. When you use a higher grit sandpaper, less material is removed, but the finish is smooth. Most of the time, a smooth finish is desired. Therefore, during the course of a project, someone would use a low grit sandpaper to remove material, then use a higher grit to smooth the rough finish from the lower grit. The Eagle Abrasives kit is great because it removes material like a rough sandpaper and finishes at the same time like a higher grit sandpaper. For example, the K600 sandpaper we are using today removes the material at the same rate as a regular 320 grit, but finishes like a 600 grit. The K800 we are finishing with cuts like a 600 grit, but finishes like an 800 grit. All right, lessons over, let's get to work. All right, so in today's video, our goal is to take these heavily faded, worn headlights, restore them, and clear them so we can reinstall them back on this little baby and possibly sell this. In a future video, we're probably gonna be restoring these trims, making them look a little better. As you can see, they're all faded. They've got white marks and tiger stripes and all sorts of things. So we'll be restoring that, headlights, and then this thing will be put up for sale. You can let me know if you want it. But anyway, back to today's video where we're using the Eagle Abrasives Super Selects Headlight Restoration Kit. That comes with the K600, K800, and the K1200 sanding sheets, along with a hand sanding pad to get this job done. All right, so what we're gonna do is put our K600 grit on our hand sanding pad to get rid of this first layer of oxidation, and we'll check in once we're done. Okay, before we get to the results, there's a couple things I forgot to mention. The pads that come in the Eagle Abrasives kit can actually tear in half. Therefore, there's 4 pads of each grit that you can use for sanding. Secondly, Dry sanding I prefer because it's less messy and you're able to see what you're doing as you're sanding. With wet sanding, the results are kind of hidden until you dry the material that you're sanding. Then you're able to analyze if you've missed any spots. Okay, now the results. So obviously our sanded headlight is on the left and our unsanded is on the right. What we have after the first round of sanding is a smooth, uniform finish. Although on camera you see some spots, those are actually on the interior of the headlight, which we obviously can't get to. It's hard to see on camera, but the finish is actually pretty uniform and smooth. Meanwhile, on the unsanded, we still have pitting, the UV damage, the rock chipping, all of that, yellowing haze. So what I'm going to do now, what you're going to see next, is me cleaning the sanded headlight before we get to the K800. And what I'm going to use is what? Geon Prep. Geon Prep is exactly what it says on the label, an oil and grease remover, which is also called an isopropyl alcohol wipe. All right, now we're gonna move on to the K800 grit. As you can see, while I was cleaning it, you can kind of see how clear it got. And now that it's clean and dry, it's way clearer than the unsanded headlight. All right, second round of sanding is complete with the K800 grit. And as you can see, we've gotten a little clearer, a little smoother. And after this, we'll clean up with the isopropyl alcohol wipe. And then we'll be ready to spray our clear coat, which is actually our Spray Max 2K Clear. And I'll get into that in just a second. All right, so the Spray Max 2K Clear is a two-part clear, which is actually the equivalent to a clear coat that you would get on a car. This is gonna give us our permanent lasting finish on our headlights, so we will never have to do this repair again. Now, I'm not gonna bore you with doing the second headlight on camera, so next clip, you'll be seeing us spraying on the clear coat. Let's go. All right, so we're ready to spray our clear, but let me explain how this clear coat works. This is a two-part clear, which means there's two chemicals actually in this can. The first is at the top in the regular portion, but the second is in the lower portion, which you use this red cap to push on this button and it'll release so both of them can mix together. So you push that button, release the chemicals into the main portion of the can, and then you mix them for about 2 minutes. But before you spray this, you gotta take some safety precautions. You're gonna have to wear a mask because, as this can says, it contains iocyanates, which can be harmful to your lungs. So I don't have a professional mask. I'm gonna be wearing these two masks, which is a KN95 and then the regular filtered mask. I also took the car out of the garage and I've masked off our headlights. I've got an extra set over here that I'm doing an experiment on. I've got a tack cloth to wipe off all the dust that could be possibly left over, and I'll be using my homemade paint booth. All right, so I'm gonna get these chemicals mixed together and we'll be shooting in just a minute. All right, so we're gonna push in this bladder at the bottom, hit the red button, and now we're gonna shake. All right, so we've got that well mixed. We're gonna take our tack cloth and wipe down each headlight. Get the remaining dust, anything left over on there, off of them. Flip it over. All right. Get ready to spray our first headlight. Forget we gotta mask up. So what we're gonna do is 2 layers, 5 minutes in between, lightly on the first coat. Second coat, we're gonna go a little heavier. We're gonna throw this into a time lapse. Let's get into it. All right, it's been about 5 to 6 minutes and they're looking semi-clear, but we're gonna do our second coat now, and I've decided to ditch my homemade paint booth because it was kind of holding me back from getting certain angles. So now we're gonna go a little heavier on this coat, and I'm gonna mask up. You wouldn't be able to hear me with my mask on, and get the second coat done. What you're seeing now is a time lapse of the drying process after the last coat of clear. When it's applied, the clear is cloudy initially, but after it dries, it gets much clearer. Unfortunately, the camera stopped filming after a while and you don't get to see the entire drying process. All right, so it's been a couple days. We're gonna be outside, so there's probably gonna be some traffic noise, but the headlights are finished and they are clear as day. As you can see, there's very minimal, if any, yellowing. I think what yellowing is left is actually on the interior due to the heat coming from the headlights, but they came out great. I think I'll put up a before picture if I can find one of what they looked like previously, but these came out great. So this is an excellent procedure you can use to get your headlights back clear and permanently. Like, comment, subscribe. Hopefully we'll see you in another video. Thanks for watching.